Hey guys, welcome to our AMI day. I was not expecting this, so this is kind of a nice surprise. I don't want to start a new unit officially today, so I'm going to just kind of prep us for the unit. We're going to focus on some things that you should know going into the unit. We've talked about a lot of these things, but I just want to review it so at least you're good at that skill before we jump in tomorrow. So I hope you have a great day today, and let's go ahead and get moving. So I've created a Delta Math assignment for you. I want you to go here to the 3/16 AMI day. And while you're watching this video, you might just pause it and go to Delta Math, because what I'm going to be doing is going through like each section with you, so you know exactly what to do. And like by the end of this video, you should have your assignment done. So the first thing I'm going to do is just start with this first objective. So let's go there. Okay, so yours should look something like this. So you should see the same thing as me right now. And so what we're going to do is we're just focusing on the GCF. And so a GCF is a number and or a variable that will go into both of these. So let's see, I have a 21 and I have a 3. And so the first thing I'm going to ask myself is I'm going to look at the smaller number and I'm going to ask myself, does 3 go into that number? And it does. So that will be your GCF every single time. So I'm going to put a 3 there. Okay, notice that I'm going to erase this. Notice that only this one has the variables. If you're going to take a GCF, they would both have to have the variables. So like if I had an ABC over here, then that would be part of my GCF. But since we don't have one, then this is only going to be what my GCF is. So then I would push submit answer and get it correct. Okay, let's go on to this one. So again, I'm going to ask myself, does 12 go into 24? And it does. So 12 is going to be my GCF. Notice that the only thing they're sharing right now is an X. And so my GCF would be 12X. So this is what level 1 is going to be. So I would go ahead and just work through there right now. I think there's 3 problems that you have to do. Go ahead and do that, and we're going to move on to the second part. Okay, so the second part, it kind of steps it up a little bit. So again, I'm going to ask myself, how many times, or does 10 go into 20? And it does 2 times. I don't really care about that right now, but 10 goes into 20 2 times. So 10 is going to be my GCF. And then let's see, what did they share? Okay, so they only share the B. So here's what you need to know. You're going to take, when you have 2 different exponents, you're going to take the smallest of the exponents. So I have a 4 and a 3, so I'm going to take the B to the 3rd. Okay, let's do another one. Ooh, look at this. So 20 does not go into 30. So 20 is not my GCF. So this one's a little bit more tricky. Let's look at the variables. So I see that they share a Z. So I'm going to take the smallest of the variables. So I'm going to take a Z to the 3rd. So let's pretend you're totally stuck and you don't know a number, like the biggest number that goes into both 20 and 30. So I'm going to show you a cheat. You can't do this on the test. You can't use Desmos on the test. But to get started, if you're having issues with the GCF, this is a nice place to start. So if you don't know the GCF of 20 and 30, go to Desmos and type in GCF and then parentheses and then the 2 numbers, 20 and 30, and it will show you here the answer. So that's kind of a nice cheat, and if you need that right now, do it until you kind of get your feet wet, but just know that on the test you're going to be on your own there. Okay, so we just found out, oops, sorry, hold on. We just found out that the GCF of 20 and 30 is 10, and so my answer would be 10Z to the 3rd. Okay, now we're actually, so on this next objective right here, we're actually factoring out. So this is before we've just found the GCF, and we're still going to need the GCF, but now we're going to actually have to factor. And this is what this unit is talking about. So again, this one might be a little bit tricky for some of you. So notice they don't share a variable. So I know that my number is just going to be, or my answer is just going to be a number. It's not going to include a variable. So let's go ahead and cheat. So I have 48 and 42. So let's go back to Desmos and see what we have here. Okay, so 6 goes into 48, 6 goes into 42. That's the biggest factor, and so 6 is going to be my answer. Okay, so then this time the difference is I'm going to have to divide both of them by 6. So factoring, when you factor, you're going to take out the GCF. And then notice I have two terms here, so I'm going to have two terms down here. A lot of people miss that, and a lot of you guys actually miss that on the midterm, which we'll talk about another day. But just know that, like, even if I had like a 42 over 42, that does not cancel out all the way. That would cancel out to 1. So if you have two terms here, you're going to have two terms down here, and that's a big mistake that a lot of people make. Okay. So I factored out my GCF right here. That's our 6. So now I'm going to take this term and I'm going to say 48 divided by 6. 6 times 8 is 48. So that's 8. And then I have this x left over there. Okay, let's do the next term. So I have a minus. I'm going to bring that down. So 42 divided by 6, that is going to be 7. And so my answer is, I don't know if you can see it, but it's this. That whole thing is going to be your answer. Okay, let's try another one. Let's do this one. Okay, so notice, guys, that this one, they do not have a number in common. So there's not a number besides 1, right? So there's not a number that goes into both 4 and 3 evenly besides 1, but we don't need to factor out a 1. But I do notice that the variable, they share an x. So I'm going to take the smallest exponent, so the x with the smallest exponent, that's what is going to be my GCF. So I'm going to pull out the x, and then I'm just going to divide both sides. So again, these cancel. I already have a 4 there, so I don't need to like leave the 1 to kind of put the filler. So it's just going to be 4 plus, and then I have, let's see, 2 x's on top, 1 x on bottom. So I'm going to be left with 1 x. And so my final answer is going to be x times parentheses 4 plus 3x. Okay, I think that's all. Oh, no, let's do, so we have a couple more. These are level 2, so they kind of step it up a little bit. Okay, something else that is hugely important. Do you see how this negative starts out the equation? Anytime you have a negative starting out, you always factor it out. Always factor that out. That's a big deal. Anytime you start out with a negative, you always factor it out. Okay, so let's go ahead and start there. So I'm going to factor out a negative for both of them. And let's see, so what is a GCF that goes into both 14 and 7? Well, I always check the smaller one. 7 does go into 14. So 7 is going to be my GCF. And then I have, let's look at the variables now. So I have an x squared and an x to the 4th. So I'm going to factor out an x squared. Okay, so now I'm going to put that 7x squared on the outside. Don't forget that. You need that in there. Okay, now I'm just going to simplify each one of these. So the first thing that I notice is that these cancel out, and I get negative 14 divided by negative 7, and that is going to be a 2. And then here, I have a positive 7 divided by negative 7. That's going to be a negative 1. I have 4 x's on top and 2 x's on bottom, and so that's going to be an x squared. So this is about as hard as it gets for GCF. So if you're doing good, you're right where you need to be. Let's do one more. Let's do this one. Okay, so think about what your GCF will be for 14 and 35. Ooh, I don't know. So let's go to Desmos. I'm going to kind of cheat. So 14 and 35. and it is 7. Okay, so let's go back. Okay, so I know that I'm going to take out a 7, and notice there's not a negative here, so it won't be negative. And then I have, let's see, an x to the 4th and an x. So remember, we're going to take out the smaller, so it's going to be just the x. So I'm going to have a 7x on the outside, and I have 2 terms up here, so I'm going to have 2 terms down there. And let's see, 14 divided by 7 is 2. I have 4 x's on top and 1 x on bottom, so that's going to be an x to the 3rd. And then minus, let's see, negative 35 divided by 7 is negative 5, so minus 5, and then those x's cancel out. So it's just 7x times 2x to the 3rd minus 5. And guys, that's it. That's all we're doing today. I think that's it. Oh, shoot. Sorry, there is another part. Hold on a second. I think there's just 2 more. Okay, yeah, so these last two, they just focus on the variables. So let's kind of talk about that. So again, I kind of think these are easier, even though they're listed as a little bit more difficult. I don't think it's bad at all. So I'm going to look at the x's, and I'm just going to take out the smallest exponent that I see. So that's going to be an x to the 3rd. And then the smallest y value that I see, or y exponent that I see, is going to be a y squared. Okay, so I have an x to the 3rd y squared on the outside, and then I'm going to have 2 terms on the inside. So let's see. So I have 4 x's on top, 3 x's on bottom, so I'm going to be left with an x, and then these cancel out. Okay, then I have a minus. And then I have a, let's see, x to the 3rd, that cancels out. I have 5 y's on top and 2 y's on bottom, so I'm left with the y to the 3rd, like that. Okay, let's do the next one. This is for sure our last one. Okay, so what do they have in common? Well, they don't have any x's in common, but they do have a y to the 4th in common. So guys, this is what I was talking about a while ago. So force yourself, they're going to have 2 terms. So these cancel out. So I'm left with an x to the 5th. But guys, on your midterm, you guys just like cross it out and did not put anything there. This simplifies out. You need a filler. So it simplifies out to 1. So again, if you have 2 terms up here, you're going to have 2 terms down here. So that's going to simplify out to 1. Okay, that is it. That's all you have to do. I think there's 3 that you have to do from each section, and you will be done. And I will see you tomorrow. Have a good day.